KA24E engine. And I've had a lot of questions on, how do I know my chain is worn out and what's the expected life of a chain. Just basically, when do you change a timing chain out and check to see if my chain is worn. First, we need to get the chain in position so that we can measure it. And I've already loosened up the camshaft bolt, but I need to get a wedge in here to hold the chain from falling off the crank sprocket. So we just wedge this in here. I compressed the piston in the hydraulic tensioner as far as it'll go, and that's going to hold it nice and snug. But I've noticed Nissan does not have a recommended change-out schedule for these chains. We'll get this out of here. And I always try to put a rag down here just in case anything decides to fall down in there. Now, I always like to make sure that the keyway is pointing just a little bit past 12 o'clock. That seems to put the cam shaft at rest, so that when you pull this off, the camshaft stays put, it doesn't move any. And right now there's no danger of that chain falling off the crank sprocket because of that wedge in there, so I can just pull this off and lay this chain wherever it'll lay. This truck has about 200,000 on it, and it's got the original chain in it. I know some people would have replaced it by now, but the chain manufacturers, since Nissan doesn't have a recommended change out, I went back to the chain manufacturer, and this is probably something like a Tsubaki chain. They put them in a lot of the Nissans, but Tsubaki, they tell us that the chains don't need to be changed out unless there's some obvious damage on them, or they show 1.5% elongation on them. And so in order to measure that elongation, they want about 15 to 18 pounds of pull put on the chain. So I've got a scale here. Let me and we'll put a scale on it here. And we're looking for 15 to 18 pounds of pull. What we got there, that shows 14, 15, a little more. Okay, I got 15, almost 16 pounds of pull on there. Let me zoom in here. They're at 15.79 pounds, and I've just got it hooked up to the right straight above here on the hood. You can see where it just hooked in here, and then we got a spring down here, and then hooked into the chain. point, we need to take a measurement. Now these chains are they're a number 35 chain, and a 35 chain has a 3/8 inch pitch, which equals 375 thousandths. And they want you to measure at least 6 pitches. So the distance between the center of one pin to the next pin is 1 pitch. And on these chains, that is 3/8 of an inch, which equates out to 0.375. And I'm going to measure 15 pitches or so, but I'm going to measure from one side to the pin to the next, and so I need to subtract the distance of one pin, which it looks like is 125 thousandths. To do that, I can just measure one of these, and then I set my calipers to 0. And now I can measure my 15 pins and get a good measurement. So chains in tension, and as I measure, hook it on one of those pins down there. Come up as far as this will come up, and we got 5.635, and I'll take another measurement, and we got 5.635. And as I count those pins, there's 15 pins I'm measuring. So we got 5.635. Now on a new chain, 15 pins measure 5.625, and if we add 1.5% to 5.625, we come up with 5.709. So I've got a nominal of a brand new chain at 5.625, and it can measure a maximum of 5.709 at 1.5% wear. And the measurement I came up with is right between those two, which is 5.638. So I'm going to say that this chain is just barely halfway through its life. And I'm going to go ahead and put it back together and check it in another 30 or 40,000 and go from there. Since I'm going to leave this chain in, I'll go ahead and put things back together. First I'll take this scale off of here. And we'll put the sprocket back on. Just make sure you line up your chain with the punch mark on the sprocket. I always put paint to make it appear a lot easier. And this should go, if your camshaft is not rotated, this should go right on there. There, it went right on. So, and from there, And put this on. You know, this is a pretty quick job. It probably only takes maybe a half hour if everything goes well. And once we get this on, we can torque it down and go from there. Let me pull this rag out of here. And pull the wedge out of here. Okay, I'm ready to torque this down and put things back together.